Hello and welcome to Pokésports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. I'm Mike, and although I'm in the White Void today, I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. What the regulation heck is going on?
What the regulation heck?
Yes. Did you predict this? Did we predict this? No, we got it wrong.
I think we might have mentioned it at one point that, like, what if they just take out everything? But I mean, they did it, and I didn't think they had it in them, but they did it. We're going to talk all about Regulation H today. It's going to be great.
But yeah.
But just so everybody knows, welcome back. If you have been away from the podcast for a little while, so have we. So welcome. We have been lots of life stuff going on. I'm moving. This is why I'm if you're watching the video version, I'm in a big white void right now. I'm just in a closet.
He put himself in a dungeon this time, guys. It wasn't me.
Because I don't have a house out there. Like there's nothing there. So that's what's going on with me. And it's going to be kind of in flux for the next couple of weeks. Next week, I'm going to be away, but we do have a video coming out. I do have a podcast coming out. So you can look forward to that.
What should I look forward to, Mike?
Kevin, you've got fun stuff coming up, right?
Yeah. Regulation H.
Sure.
And for those
got a lot of Pokemon to play, really.
Yeah, honestly. For those wondering what we're going to do with the Regulation G teams that we still have intact, we're pretty much going to go into the middle of the month, bouncing back and forth between G and H. Right. And by the middle of the month, I feel like there's enough of a gentleman's agreement on the casual ladder to just be primarily Regulation H. So that should work out good enough.
It is really interesting to see that happen at the beginning of a regulation where that's the only place that people can play it.
Yeah, I've always hated that they announce it this early. Because I understand why they announced it this early, because people can get this Pokemon ready so that they can, be there when the actual regulation drops on the ranked ladder.
Right.
Sure. But you also just create this void of a lot of angsty middle-aged men that want to play the game but don't have an official place to play the game. Just like, I want to practice, but it has to be on Showdown. And you could always say, Kevin, just play Showdown. I could. It's not great to watch, though, at least in my opinion. I prefer not watching Showdown games. I don't know if other people are like that.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't know. I like playing on cart better than I like playing on Showdown.
I think more.
But I can appreciate the fact that you can play 6 games in the span of playing one on cartridge. But I don't know. I like having the slow amount of time to actually think about your moves and play them,
Yeah, I'm there with you.
See how they play out. But that's not to say that I don't play Showdown. I do play Showdown. I play a ton of Showdown. It's just that's the hyperbolic time chamber, but nothing can prepare you more than just a fight in real life,
A fight in real life in the game.
Yeah, fight in real life in the game in real life. So yes, Regulation H rule set has been announced. For those who have been living under a rock or just haven't been keeping up with the regulation rules, this is the regulation that is banning all legendary and paradox and ruinous Pokemon.
And restricted.
So and restricted Pokemon. So we're back to the basics. But with a little bit of extra oomph.
A little bit of DLC. Yeah. We're back to Series 1 plus DLC is what this is. A lot of people for a long time were calling this Series 1 plus plus because it had the first DLC and the second DLC attached to it. But now we have an actual letter for it, so that's always nice. I don't have to say plus plus anymore. I can just say Regulation H. But I'm happy about this. I think it's what we needed because the original National Dex of Series 1 was so... It's not like it was lacking. There was a lot less Pokemon in it. You had a lot less options. Dondozo was the biggest threat for a long time. And then you had Gholdengo, Murkrow, clicking Haze and Make It Rain over and over. Now, you have additions like Incin, additions like Rilla, additions like Blurse. You have a lot more options to play with here. And I think it's going to be healthier for the meta because we have those options.
Yeah, first thing I want to say right off the bat is Dondozo. Right? Dondozo was such a big threat in the first one, as you just mentioned, but it is not as seen now, which is so interesting to see just how the meta has changed with the addition of the DLC. And we have, of course, because we're numbers nerds, we have the format preview usage stats. We have a bunch of interesting stats that Kevin's gone and found on Showdown. And of course, we have stuff to talk about one armed bladed Pokemon in particular.
Armed bladed.
So we're going to get into all that today. Let's start with, Regulation H usage stats. Okay, so on Pikalytics.com, you can go and check out the usage stats of VGC 2024 Regulation Set H. I love Griffin for doing this. He's always so on top of all of the new formats and all of the most exciting stuff. I love that.
Is anyone surprised Incin is number one? No.
Yeah, right. So as we're looking at this, Incin is number one, 37.41%. Now, mind you, it's not as egregious as some of the other top Pokemon, right? Like Regulation G, Urshifu Rapid Strike was 44%.
Yeah, exactly. That's thankfully not allowed anymore. That's a big one that we're losing. Because, you know, do you remember what Urshifu Rapid Strike did to, like, the water types in the meta? It invalidated all of them.
Yeah.
Every last one.
Why bring him?
Why bring him? This one breaks through Protect and is a bear. So, I mean, Regulation bears.
And for context, again, Regulation F, Urshifu Rapid Strike was 55%.
Yeah.
Although it was second in usage to Raging Bolt, which was 56, which also is not there in Regulation Set H.
It's very interesting what deleting Paradox Pokemon and Legends are doing to the decks. Because the top 3 Pokemon, and we'll go over them in a second, I feel like no one would be surprised about because they were good in Regulation G, right? And if they're good in Regulation G, they're probably good when you have less restricteds too. If they can hang with the restricteds, they could do just fine without them.
Exactly. Absolutely.
But the second you start going down this list, you start seeing some older and older faces that you forgot about. And you're like, oh, yeah, this was a menace.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go over the top 3. Yeah. We've got Incineroar at 37.41%, Rillaboom at 31.34%. And third, interestingly enough, in this list anyway, and it's very early days, but Amoonguss sitting at 22.99%. Now, first of all, to have a number 3 used Pokemon sitting at 22%, that tells you that there's a ton of Pokemon under that being used. Because usually you'll have your top 3 being like 55%, 54%, 53%. But with Amoonguss, you're already down to 22. So that spread is going to be way bigger than we've seen in other series.
And it's crazy how this usually works in Pokemon. It's like the more you limit the decks, the somehow more variety you have amongst the actual competitive metagame. It's crazy.
You have less to work with, but at the same time, you have way more to work with.
A lot more things.
Because like some Pokemon are just built better than others, and a lot of them are restricted. A lot of them were paradoxes. A lot of them were ruinous. So.
It's interesting seeing Amoonguss this high, especially now that we got rid of Miraidon with electric terrain, so it could start sporing things again. And it's also interesting seeing 2 grass types in the second and third spot.
Well, I think a lot of that actually has to do with the fact that Amoonguss is in the top there, because like you need something that can't be spored.
Yeah,
and that's going to be Rillaboom. You drop the grass type, and that's not going to sleep. Now, we haven't even mentioned the elephant in the room of everybody's favorite Fluttermane not being in the meta this time around, right? Regulation said, where were we? G. Fluttermane was sitting on, where was Fluttermane? Oh my goodness, it went down to 16% in set G. Wow.
Oh, wow.
People didn't really use it last set.
What rank was that? It was still the most used ghost type, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, apart from Cali Shadow.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. But even then, it was like 2% difference. But yeah, so 16% in set G, but set F, Fluttermane was sitting at number 3, 48%. And that's what I'm saying is like right now, number 3 is Amoonguss at 22. Regulation set F was Fluttermane at 48. Regulation set E was Fluttermane number 2 at 41%. So like it was around, it was killing it. Fluttermane in set E was number 2. I think I just said that at 41%.
It's so
set
splashable.
C was 80% Fluttermane.
Yeah, it's splashable on any team. We've mentioned this before on the podcast, how Ghost and Fairy together as a type combination is rough because there's very few Pokemon that can deal with both of those stabs. Like I think Pyroar is like one of the few that can. And if you're relying on a Pyroar to be one of the Pokemon that can, then you can see how this Pokemon is a problem.
Right. So those are the top 3, Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Moongus. Now let's look at some of the other more popular. And I just want to say, again, you don't drop a digit. So like you don't go below 10% usage until Armarouge at number 14. And like that is wild that it's like that. Okay. So let's see here. We've got Ursaluna Blood Moon at number 4 at
Crazy
20% usage.
I didn't think they'd allow this, but I guess it's not technically a legend and it's not technically a Paradoxmon. It's just another, I want to say Hisui Pokemon, but it's really not because Ursaluna is not Blurse. Blurse is technically just another DLC mon. You just take its photo.
Blursaluna is like the missing no of Scarlet and Violet.
We loved Ursaluna so much, we made another one.
Yeah. Gholdengo is sitting at number 5 at 20%. There's your ghost type.
Doesn't need to compete with Fluttermane anymore, yeah.
Right. It's back. Indeedee sitting at 17%, number 6.
Happy about this. So size spam.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the size spam later. Farigiraf is back at number 7, 17%.
Interesting that both at 17% are anti-priorities. It's like this is where we put our anti-priority mon here.
Annihilape sitting at 16%. Annihilape is
you forgot about Annihilape. You forgot about Beat Up Ape, baby. It's Rage Fist time.
It's Rage Fist time. Now where's Mousehold? Mousehold isn't here. Oh, Mousehold is like sitting at number 38.
You could beat up with Whimsicott now though.
That's why.
Yeah, you don't need Mousehold. You got Wimmy.
Whimsicott? Whimsicott's at 12. Wow.
It's not far.
Yeah, we got Pelipper at number 9 at 16%. We've got our Chaludon at number 10 at 15%.
First time in Series 1, yeah.
Palaffin's here.
It's back. Oh, we all forgot Palafin. And funny story about Palafin. Palafin is one of the highest base stat Pokemon in Regulation H right now. If we look at Regulation H right now, we have Slacking at base stat total 670. And then right after that, it's Palafin at 650.
Wow.
I know you forgot this. Palafin has base 160 attack, by the way.
That... Yeah, I mean, you have to do something first, but but getting it there is okay.
It's an easy thing you could do. Just switch it into Moongus. You'll be fine probably 95% of the time.
Sure, I think. And then you got your Whimsicott at number 12 with 11% usage, and then Torkoal at 13, number 13 with 10%.
Oomph.
Torkoal and Armarouge are back.
I want
number 14.
I want to mention something real quick because Palafin's percentage is actually a lot higher. There's a bug on the site. You scroll a little bit farther, they count Baby Palafin and Palafin Hero as 2 separate Pokemon. So add 8% to 11, and that's what Palafin actually is. So
I don't think it works like that. No, because then that's like saying that 11% of teams have hero form Palafin, and you can't have a hero form Palafin without having a regular form Palafin.
No, because on Showdown you can for some reason you can choose Palafin and hero Palafin. In your team builder.
Then you're absolutely right.
So yeah, you'd have to add both those together, which makes a lot more sense because I was wondering where the Grass Water Fire core was at the top. We had the Fire Grass core, but if you add 8 to 11.
Palafin sits right under Gholdengo then.
Yeah.
At number 6.
Yeah. So Palafin's a lot more respected than we're giving it credit.
Oh, wow. And have you noticed that? Are you playing against a lot of Palafins?
Yeah. It's good. I'm not. The unfortunate thing is currently in like the early season of the casual ladder. It's right. You go against a lot of Regulation G stuff still, but You know, the Regulation H stuff that I'm playing can still be the Regulation G stuff, so I'm not minding. But the few times you do go over against Regulation H, you do see Palafin, you do see Rill, you do see Incin. Like, those are big Pokemon. And Gholdengo's like everywhere.
That's fair. So yeah, big changes happening right now. Now, I'm just looking through this. I'm trying to find like which Pokemon have been added since the DLC. Where's the differences since Series, I guess, 1?
Other than the Incineroar right at the top and the blurs.
Right.
Incineroar blurs are the big ones.
Because like if I pull up Series 1 Showdown, right, you've got Meowscarada sitting at 61%.
No, yeah.
You got Armarouge, you got Annihilape, you got Garganacl.
Garganacl? Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not
and
there
where
anymore.
is it now?
Yeah, he fell off.
Legit, what? Where is it now? I'm looking for it.
Also, for some reason...
here it is. Number 65.
Oh, bye.
See how the salty have fallen.
This does the same thing with Mousehold, where it has Mousehold and Mousehold 4. So technically Mousehold is at 9%. So it's a little higher to be next to Annihilape. So yeah, it's technically around underneath Armarouge and above King Gambit for Mousehold.
I see. Yeah. But yeah, just looking at how different everything was from Series 1 to 2. I mean, you've got Meowscarada, Armarouge, Annihilape, Garganacl, Gholdengo. Gholdengo hasn't moved. It's always been number 5, which is fantastic.
That's where he belongs.
But yeah, Ursaluna, Moongus, Rillaboom, Incineroar. Was a Moongus? Was that a DLC mod? No, it wasn't.
It was there.
It was in Series 1.
Moongus is friend for a while.
Right.
Where's Hatterene? Okay, it's a little lower than I expect to see Hatterene above Armarouge, but I guess it's the other way around.
But yeah, Dondozo currently sitting at number 19 at 8% here. So I mean, it's pretty low. I imagine there's going to be all of the different types of Tatsugiri separated on this list. So together, probably pretty close.
Yeah, Dondozo at 7% right now in Regulation H. What's interesting is all the weather that's included here. Because if we scroll down a little bit, we see Pelipper with the rain. We see Torkoal with the sun. And we are seeing like Tyranitar and Ninetales really close to each other. Like you don't usually see Tyranitar this high up. Like sand has been the forgotten weather this whole generation, I think.
Right.
So now you're kind of allowed to run Tyranitar with the Sand Rush user. Heck, even I guess Go Excadrill. Excadrill is another Pokemon that fell off hard, right? I used to hate that Pokemon. Now I don't care anymore. It's like I see an Excadrill, I'm like, oh, free win. But yeah, and, you know, maybe it might do something in this regulation.
Right. So one thing we were doing before we started the podcast today, Kevin went and looked up the speed totals and a lot of different stat totals for the Regulation H Pokemon, because one of the first questions that he had, he was like, what does this do to the speed tiers to get all of these like really, I guess, broken, outscaled Pokemon out of the meta?
You took a lot of base 135s out. Yeah,
because like Paradox Mons, Ruinous Mons, that is a form of power creep, right? Like having those in the meta is a way of saying, hey, these Pokemon are better than your average Pokemon. That's why they're so rare. That's the in-lore description for that kind of thing. And now they're gone. So with those gone, Kevin, how about you tell us about what you found?
So right now, for Regulation H, the highest speed on a Pokemon is currently Electrode at base 150. I wouldn't recommend using it. After Electrode is Dragapult at 142. But, I mean, Dragapult fell off after it can't Dynamax anymore. You could still get away with, like, Choice Banded, I guess, Dragon Terra, Dragon Darts if you want. Next is Barraskewda, another Pokemon that's not that great. After that is Jolteon, another Pokemon that's not that great at 130. And to me, the first relevant Pokemon that is the fastest speed tier that we currently have is Talonflame at 126.
Wow. And stats would tell you that Talonflame is actually not very commonly used here.
No. But Talonflame now has the special benefit of being one of the few priority Tailwind setters. You only have 3 now. You have Talonflame, Murkrow, and what's that last one? Whimsicott. Yeah. So, and Talonflame has the additional benefit of being able to one-shot Whimsicott before it can Tailwind, because you're faster than it and you can Gale Wings it.
Sure.
So you could just get rid of the Wimmy, especially if it's holding Covert Cloak instead of Focus Sash, eliminate it from the game.
And for those wondering, after Kevin mentioned Murkrow just now, Murkrow has absolutely made a comeback.
Yeah.
Like, Murkrow is back.
Especially with Haze. Haze Murkrow was the one way to deal with Dondozo. You used to be able to go for Haze Murkrow over and over next to your Make It Rain, so that you don't have to waste time nasty plotting. You just specs Make It Rain and Haze, specs Make It Rain and Haze over and over. So that's always a fun thing.
Can you remind me, does Haze work for your side of the field as well?
It's everybody. It's a field effect.
It just resets the field?
Yeah. That's why it also works on Gholdengo, because it's not targeted. Because Gholdengo otherwise has good as gold. You wouldn't be able to adjust him. But now you just can.
So that's also an extra benefit for Incineroar.
Yes. You could just ruin Incineroar a little
comes
bit.
Out, does a parting shot, does Intimidate, comes back in, does Intimidate again. You send out Murkrow, you Haze, it's done. Bye.
Bye. It's also
your -3 is now totally fine.
It's really good into Dozo, because Dozo you just eliminate it and then it's locked on the field. It can't switch, so you just kind of have to suffer with a basic Dozo.
Yeah. Right. See, but what I mean is, like, that was stuff that we all learned how to deal with in Series 1, but now
2 years later.
Now 2 years later, we have the DLC to think about. We have, what's been added to that, and Incineroar is a big, massive guy who's been added to this.
I'm curious to see. Oh.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I was going to look through the base stat totals for, like, what is the highest base stat totals here? Because we mentioned Palafin a little bit, but there's a lot of other Pokemon that are included here. A lot of them pseudo-legendaries, but someone we didn't mention is Archaludon. Archaludon hasn't seen a non-restricted meta yet. Because when it was introduced was the Blueberry Academy, which was restricted meta immediately. Archaludon now is going to be really annoying to deal with, especially if you have it on a beat-up team, too. Like, I feel like you could really take advantage of stamina, beat-up, and body press here.
Ooh, Archaludon is finally doing what Archaludon kind of wanted to do the whole time. When they made an evolution for Duraludon, they're like, we're gonna make this Pokemon relevant, and then they tossed it in against, like, a Fluttermane and a Kyogre and an Entei and, like, all of those guys, and it's like, it's not that relevant.
Steel Dragon's still a good typing. Yeah, you got Archaludon at base 600, Baxcalibur, Dragonite, Garchomp, Hudra might be relevant too. It's like kind of like a baby Archaludon. I feel like Archaludon's still better, but you got Hudra. Hydreigon's also big too. You remember Focus Energy Crit Hydreigon?
I do.
Focus Energy once, Draco Meteor.
Amoongus. Interesting.
Physical fit.
Right. Physical. That kind of tossed me back to Orlando regionals, where Violence first came out, the team that I have been talking nonstop about for 2 years. But
the last team Mike built on his own.
The last team I built on my own. And even that had Paradox Mons in it.
Yeah.
That was the first Sandy Shocks. That was
you remember that. It was a week before the tournament, and they were like, oh yeah, Paradox are gonna be allowed for this. Okay, bye. Good luck. Because it was like February 2nd that the tournament was. And we had no idea what the actual regulation was gonna be because they haven't announced it yet. Maybe that's why they announced it a month early, now that I'm thinking about it. So that doesn't happen again.
Maybe it's actually a pretty good thing that they do this thing, huh? Yeah. I find it interesting going through these top base stats that, like, in a meta that doesn't have Paradox Mons, that doesn't have Ruinous Mons, that doesn't have Restricted, base stats are now, like, you can see the trade-off that you get for having a total like a super high base stat now. Like, take a Jolteon or a Dragapult or a Talonflame, and, like, these are Pokemon that have, like, really, really high speed, like ludicrously high speed Electrode, ludicrously high speed but in exchange for not being that great at other things.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to bring a Jolteon into your game more often than not, because it is defensively really weak, because it doesn't have a ton of HP, because its typing isn't
There's
super
not a lot of
fantastic.
coverage
It doesn't really
moves.
help.
Yeah, the
Right. It doesn't
coverage
have a
moves
lot of
suck
coverage
too.
moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just electric moves.
Yeah. And now it's like, yeah, we're back to that. If you have really high this, then you probably have low that kind of meta.
Mhm.
So let's keep going. What other kind of top base stats we got?
I forgot where I left off. We got Baxcalibur 600, Dragapult 600. And this is kind of like the pseudo legendary club, where we just go through Hydreigon, Goodra, Como, Metagross, Salamence, all base stats 600. Tyranitar, base stats 600. And then after that, we have Arcanine and Hisuian Arcanine, which could also be played. Arcanine less. I think Hisuian Arcanine did see some play against Incin when Incin first showed up to the party.
It sure did.
It was like, okay, which one's better? We actually don't know, because that fast rock slide is really relevant. Not a lot of fast rock Pokemon exist. So when you can have a base 90 rock slide with an Intimidate on top of that, it's really painful. So, Hisuian Arcanine, maybe.
I'm just looking up Hisuian Arcanine right now. Typically, people are using Rock Slide, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, and Protect, which isn't too different from when it was first out before. But yeah, you've got Rock Slide to deal with your Incineroars. You've got Flare Blitz to deal with your Rillabooms and your Amoonguses. You've got Extreme Speed, because Extreme Speed is just really good. You can still put a normal Terra on that and do fine. Massive damage, right?
You got Blursaluna at 5/5/5 also. And this is the interesting one. Florges is up here. Florges has one of the highest base stat totals in Regulation H right now.
Really?
It has more base stat totals than Gholdengo by 2. I didn't know that either, but yeah, looking at it, Florges has base 154 special defense.
Yeah, it's super especially defensive. Okay. Wow. That's interesting. Gholdengo is more of the balanced high base stat total mod.
It's more optimized than Florges. It has less attack and has more defensive investment than Florges and more HP and faster.
Yeah. And again, just so people remember Gholdengo and its base stat total, it's got 87 base HP, 95 base defense, 133 base special attack, which is basically 2 points off of Fluttermane if you want to remember it like that. Special defense is 91, speed is 84. This is a Pokemon that, like, to me, I'm like, oh, you've made a good one here.
Yeah, they did this on purpose. Gholdengo is just overall very, very safe. It's so good that even when Fluttermane was running rampant, Gholdengo teams are still taking top 8s. Like, they were still squeezing their way in there, because it was always the battle. Like, either you're running Gholdengo, you're running Fluttermane, you're never running both. And you'd see that in top 8. It's like, okay, this one has Gholdengo, this one has Fluttermane.
Yeah.
I feel like Gholdengo as a Pokemon is better than Fluttermane, but requires more work. You have to get it there.
Yeah.
You have to
with a single nasty plot, it destroys the world. But without one, it's like, it's okay.
You have to commit Terra to it, and you have to commit a nasty plot to it, and you have to have a special set that can make it live hits and lefties back up. Like, that's the way Gholdengo is played.
Are you trying to say there's one way to build a Gholdengo?
Well, not anymore, because you could haze with Murkrow. You just specs full max special attacks, max speed, timid, blah, blah, blah. That's all you got to do. You can turn your brain off now.
Coins, money.
King Gambit's here, too. Don't forget Black Glasses Sucker Punch.
Actually, I like to use Dark Plate. So.
Okay, don't forget Dark Plate Sucker Punch.
Actually, I like to use Black Glasses, so...
Don't forget...
You're not going to win this, Kevin.
Eviolite Bisharp.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Kotal, Cleave, Sucker Punch, Protect, and Swords Dance, or Iron Head. Although, really, like, what are you using Iron Head for anymore?
Yeah, Fluttermane's gone.
Fluttermane's gone. You're using it for Whimsicott?
Yeah.
Whimsicott is the first actual fairy here?
Do fairies just suck now? I guess so.
Well, I mean, you've got... I don't know. You've got Hatterene.
Yeah. I guess Ninetales. Elephant in the room. Primarina's doing great right now.
Huh.
8.5% in Regulation H. Number 17 in monthly usage. Interesting.
126 special attack, 116 special defense. That's not bad.
Primarina does do better in metas that are more have less restricted Pokemon, that's for sure.
Starters tend to do better in metas that have less restricted Pokemon. I think I'd challenge that.
Yeah.
Because that, like, those Pokemon are
meant to be
in
good.
the game, they're meant to be like some of your best ones.
Yeah, they want you to take it to the end of the game.
Right. I wonder if, like,
completes the grass, water, fire core really nicely. Maybe that's why.
Sure. I wonder if we're going to start seeing like superiors coming up with like.
That's true.
Moody. Is it moody?
A lot of
competitive?
Contrary. It's even better than competitive, because competitive you can't side, you can't do it to yourself. Contrary you can.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe like Eerie Impulse your own
Superior into Leaf Storm
to just start off at +4. And Superior is also the one Pokemon that can run Stellar Terra and not have a drawback, because it gains the special attack instead of loses it after it uses the Stellar Terra Blast.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought about that.
It's that one and Enamorus, but you can't use Enamorus right now. That can both like just take advantage of Stellar Terra and not care.
Ooh, I need someone to make that team. Oh, I need someone to make that team. I want to see Kevin play it.
Where is a Superior on
I might play it. I don't know. If I moved in time, I might do it.
No one's playing Superior, man. What you guys doing out here?
What you doing?
No one's playing Rillaboom. Superior's at 1.1%. And yes, top Terra is Stellar Terra with Leaf Storm, Terra Blast, Protect, and Glare. Okay.
Glare.
Because it is a snake. Accurate. Yeah, it's 100% accurate para. So the few Pokemon that get it, it's pretty good on.
It sure is a snake. All right, let's talk about this guy. So listen, Incineroar is out there, right?
Yes.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. Incineroar is roaming these streets. There is a hero on the streets who is cleaning up Incineroars, who is making it safe for you to go outside and play at the park. And that hero's name is Gallade.
Absolutely. Gallade is like anti-Incineroar. Well, first I got the idea to talk about this today because I was on Twitter saying what people were saying about Regulation H. A lot of people are saying, guys, before you get excited about Regulation H, realize that Psyspam is back. And then I went digging. I was like, hold on, yeah, they got rid of the Ruinous Legends, which made it very hard for Psyspam, specifically Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu ruined me at NAIC. That's gone now. So Chi-Yu's gone, Ting-Lu's gone, Chen Pao's gone. No one played Wo-Chen except Moxie Boosted, so that's gone. And then now you're in an interesting situation where everyone's like, oh, Psyspam is back. Be careful, guys. And then you got the people commenting saying, man, we got Incineroar now. Why are you guys worried? Psyspam players play Gallade now, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Gallade with the Sacred Sword destroys every Incineroar that you see. It's so... Unless Incins start running Ghost Terror, I guess. In which case, fine, you got me. But if they run Ghost Terror, then I can Psyspam them again. So, yeah, no, I think Gallade's going to be very big for Psyspam. And I feel like if you're not running Gallade on Psyspam, you might be trolling a little bit just because of how scary Incineroar is. It's the highest usage Pokemon. But then after that, you could scroll down very far until you find another dark type. The next dark type that you see is Murkrow. And, like, let's be honest. It's a Murkrow. It'll take 2 hits, but you'll get rid of it, and it won't do much back to you. Then after Murkrow, it's Hydreigon and Meowscarada, and then Grimmsnarl, down at 6.10%. So there are your dark types for the meta.
Let's be
all
honest,
of which can get Dazzling Gleamed for all I care. The only scary...
By whom?
By Hatterene.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dazzling Gleam. You hit them.
Dazzling Gleam from a Hatterene.
Incin was the one that was safe against it because it's fire type, but now you go lead. So that, yeah.
See, but I mean, you can still fake it out.
But not with Psychic Terrain on the field.
Oh,
come on, man. We thought about this.
We thought about this over at Size Spam HQ.
Yeah. We've been through this already. It took a long time for us to realize Gallade was good. Sharpness is good. Yeah.
So it's Sharpness Gallade with Sacred Sword. How does that just like really wreck Incins? Or
there's no Incin set that can live it. And most Incins, even if we don't have Clear Amulet, die to it at -1. So like they can intimidate us and we could still take them out.
So I suppose that's probably what we're going to be seeing on the Patreon.
Probably, yeah. I haven't built that team yet, but yeah.
But it's sitting in your brain.
Yes, it's there. It's in my brain.
It's camped out. Yeah.
I kind of had that team go up recently with the Hisuian Lilligant. I might just copy that team except for the Araquanid. But at the same time, Araquanid did have some merit there, so I don't know.
Now, what was it doing there?
It just had Wide Guard, which helped a little bit, I guess. But I feel like Wide Guard isn't even that relevant.
Did it have to be an Araquanid, though?
What other options?
Or do you think that might have been like just in case you want to put an Araquanid on the thumbnail kind of thing?
Maybe. Let's see what we're dealing with here with Wide Guard users. We got Swampert, Chestnut, Armarouge. Oh yeah, I could just run Armarouge. Okay, problem solved. I don't need Araquanid.
You done it.
I did it. All by my Gallade. Gallade also learns it. Yeah, I really don't need Araquanid, huh? I'm gonna make that just a final Gambit Ape and call it a day. How about we do that? Oh my god, Final Gambit. So many things have less than Annihilape HP right now.
Right.
Annihilape HP, for those trying to remember, because I am Kevin. Too. Where are we at? Is base 110. Very few Pokemon have more HP than 110 currently.
Totally.
By very few, I mean like probably 25, but a lot of them aren't relevant. Like you gotta go through Sea Titan and Chansey first, and then you get through Dondozo, Alamolamala, Ursalunas, both the Dunsparces.
It's very interesting to see Annihilape at that high HP. Maybe this is something that we've noticed before. Maybe this is something that I've said before. I don't know. But looking at the base stats for Annihilape, because it's been so long since I've done this, HP sitting at 110 and speed sitting at 90, and the fact that they gave it Final Gambit is hilarious.
You scarf it, you go.
They found a fast enough Pokemon. They gave it too much HP and was just like, hey, how about this move that kills you, but does all of your HP as damage?
Yep. Pretty much.
And how about we give it to the angry monkey that died already?
Because it was angry.
Because it was so angry. The lore on that is fantastic.
Yep. Honestly, yeah, I might just throw an Annihilape in that spot, and that'll be the Patreon team for the month. Problem solved.
You know what? Let's go.
Full send.
And if you're interested in all that, you can go to patreon.com/Pokésports. Go and check that out. Okay, Kevin, you know what? This has been entirely about Regulation H. Do we have anything else to talk about Regulation H or otherwise?
Regulation H. Let's see.
Because this might just be a short cast.
Yeah, it could be.
This might just be a short king cast.
In case you guys are wondering, highest HP in the game is Blissey and Titan and Chansey. Highest attack, Rampardos, Palafin, Slacking, Haxorus. Highest defense, Avalugg, Hisuian Avalugg, Cloyster, Bastiodon. I wouldn't recommend any of those. Highest special attack, Chandelure, Vigavolt, Hatterene, Porygon Z, and Blurse. Highest special defense, Florges, Carbink, Hoodra, Probopass. And highest speed we went over already.
That's so interesting. Because again, this is back to the whole, like, it has a lot of this, so it doesn't have a lot of that. Yeah. Most of the Pokemon that you have laid out there, I wouldn't suggest on like a high meta team.
No.
Like you can use any of those guys, but like the only ones that you're realistically going to see in like the top 8 to 16 of a tournament is going to be like Hoodra, is going to be like Hatterene, going to be Blood Moon or Saluna, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
3 of those like 12 that Kevin just laid out. That's wild. Because before it was like you had like Kyogre on the top of some of these lists. You had Fluttermane on the top of some of these lists.
Yeah.
And like it was just so good in enough multiple places that it was good overall.
When you add enough numbers, things become good.
As it turns out, when you add enough numbers and enough good moves and enough good types, things tend to be pretty nice.
I am on the full sentiment that actual Dex Pokemon have more thought put into them than restricted Pokemon. Like actual balanced thought. Like even Palafin, which most people might say is a little cracked because it sits at base 650 base stat total, it has to switch out to get good. And on top of that, it really only has water moves and ice punch. Like its coverage actually sucks. It's not good coverage. So there are drawbacks to Palafin.
Right. But like this is a Pokemon that has an activate condition.
Yeah, but like things like Kyogre, you join the field with a weather boost. You have coverage in Hydro Pump, Origin Pulse, Water Spout, Thunder, Blizzard, Ice Beam. Like you have moves that cover your weaknesses. So I don't know. I feel like not much thought are put into restricted Pokemon. Just like full send, go.
Well, the thought that's put into restricted Pokemon is very much less in like competitiveness and much more in the lore of the thing, right? Like this is a Pokemon that created all of the water in the world. Like, yeah, it knows how to do a couple things.
Brother did complex chemistry.
Yeah.
Just put 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom together. And here we are. Water.
Here is a mythical Pokemon on a death horse that has a giant head that has thought of everything. Yeah, it's going to hit pretty hard.
Somehow thought of everything, but still needs your help to get his horse back. Yes.
Hey, you know, everyone's got limitations, man. He's short. That was his problem.
Short King Calyrex.
Short King
Oh my God, new showdown ult. Short King Calyrex, because it is a king. Oh my God. No one steal it from me.
No one make that. Kevin's going to make that right now. Short King Cali. You're going to hit the character limit on that for sure.
What is the character limit on Showdown?
I'm going to
choose a name right now. I'm right here. Short.
I believe you.
I'm going to just put it all together. Cali.
Okay, hold on. We're going to make
the whole thing fixed.
Oh, great. Oh, amazing.
Short
Perfect.
King
You did it. Short King Cali. So we've got to make some lore for other restricted mods. Don't even say the name. Just tell me the lore.
Oh, okay. This is a new game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like sandwiches makes it hot.
Like sandwiches makes the sandwich. Oh, that's
like
toasted
sandwiches. Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Generation 9 restricteds have the least lore. It's like, it's Cyclizar from the back and from the future.
But you need to like really epic it up because these Pokemon have super high base stat totals and for absolutely no reason. They're just like really, really, really good. We need to make the lore for why they're that good. So this guy, he's eaten all those sandwiches, but these sandwiches are super powered, right? And it's like it's a Cyclizar, but it's like an X-Men Cyclizar. Right? Like it's a mutated Cyclizar.
We put some Red Bull in that
sandwich. Ostracize. What?
We put some Red Bull in that sandwich, gave it wings. Oh, you had a side of Red Bull with the sandwich.
Cyclizar had a sandwich with a side of Red Bull and turned into Koraidon. Cyclizar from the future is just Miraidon. Miraidon had the sandwiches for the plot. Like really, it didn't need the sandwiches. It was a future robot.
I think Generation 9 was probably the game where they made all the Pokemon first and then all the lore was an afterthought. It's like, okay,
sure.
Here, we have this guy. What do we do with him?
They really did like, what was the whole thing about like Lunala and Solgaleo? Like do they actually have anything to do with the sun and the moon, or are they just Pokemon that
I think so.
really like the sun and the moon?
I think so. That's what the games are called. I paid very little attention to that game. I know that you got to go in wormholes though and find Ultra Beasts.
That's still very space themed. So probably like Solgaleo born in the sun. Like, yeah, it's gonna know some really good attacks.
Cosmog is a black hole, and Cosmoem is a denser one. Yeah. And then eventually, I guess that
Solgaleo turned it Cosmoem became a small sun. Like, yeah, it's gonna have good flare blitz.
But anyone that knows anything about astronomy knows that it works the opposite way. Eventually, big stars become black holes. It's not black holes become big stars.
All right, Kevin. I guess you're the Pokemon professor now.
I know a lot about astrology for absolutely no reason. I will have a video.
I wish I had that.
I'll have a video up on YouTube, 3 hours long, of just random space facts.
Just gonna be like, hey, this is something I've been thinking about lately. Just you go into full Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, full star talk.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And Mewtwo. Let's just say that. Just Mewtwo. Boom. There you go. Big Pokemon.
What does Mewtwo do? Mewtwo is kind of made. It's kind of man-made. I think it has the worst lore out of all of them.
You think Mewtwo has the worst lore out of all the legendaries?
Brother just made it in a lab.
He was cloned from Mew.
Yeah.
He was the first perfect Pokemon clone.
It wasn't perfect. A clone would insinuate that they're 1-to-1.
November 12th, Mewtwo escaped or something.
Listen, the first perfect Pokemon clone was me with my Game Shark when I was 10. That was the first perfect Pokemon clone that
The first perfect Pokemon clone was me running up and down Cinnabar Island and hitting a missing no and ending up with 2 Charmanders. That's nuts. All right, that's the end of, I'm going to call it here. That's the end of Pokésports this week. Again, we're off next week, but I will have a podcast coming out. We will have a podcast coming out. It's our VGC vacation next week.
Yeah.
So you'll get to hear Kevin and I chat about all the fun things that aren't VGC related. So go and look forward to that. Kevin, you got anything going on this week?
It's a lot of Regulation H stuff. I think Hilligant already came out. Hydreigon is coming out soon. And then after that, I forgot. Clefable. I play Clefable team.
Right. Looking forward to that. And of course, if you want us to go and see some other stuff, including our Preach, where we preamble before the podcast, you can go and check that out on Patreon, patreon.com/Pokésports. Or if you're a member on YouTube, you can go and see/listen to that there as well. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. And we'll chat with you next time.
Bye-bye.